All right, you guys, welcome to our first week of Atomic Habits. This book is awesome. This is my first time reading it, so I haven't gone through it. Like, so many are on their second or third time because it is so good. But I am absolutely loving it. I already told my husband, you and all the kids are going to be listening to this during breakfast. This book is so good. I have decided it is what is going to keep my house clean once and for all, because they need to learn some habits around here. Get the house in order and then it all falls apart. And I love how he talks about, because you need to work on your system. You don't need to just say, oh, I'm going to keep my house clean, or, oh, I'm going to be a diamond. What are the things that you need to do in order to make that goal happen? Those are your systems. So I love it. I love where he talks about the 1%. If you can get better at 1% every day, that seems doable, right? Like, make a few small changes. By the end of the year, what do you say? You'll be 37% better at something, or at life, or whatever. It's the law of compound. Like, it just keeps compounding and building interest, so to speak. And I just love that. We all know that, small decisions and little choices every day, those can either be what create your success or your downfall. It's the little choices every day, the ones that feel like they don't matter. Oh, I'm going to skip the gym today. I'm going to go to Chick-fil-A again. I'm just going to have the milkshake this time. I know I should be drinking water, but I'm going to have the milkshake. These are things that sabotage our goals. And I love how he gives some practical applications on how to overcome that. But what we're looking for is the success, which is the byproduct of simple daily choices. It's not a once in a lifetime transformation. It's not just one time. You have to work on these things every day, but it's the little things. Again, it's not big monumental life changes. It's just the little habits, which is also in The Slight Edge. For those of you who have read that book, y'all know that I love that one. I underlined this. Your clutter is a lagging measure of your cleaning habit. So need to learn some new habits around here as I look around my bedroom, and hope you guys can't see it. But I love the list on page 19. Negative thoughts compound. Your relationships compound. The more you think negative thoughts about yourself, the more you interpret life that way. This is why our mindset is so important. I kept writing in the margin, mindset. That's so much of what goes into this. I really like where he said change can take years before it happens all at once. That's kind of what happened in my business. For 2 years, I did all the little things right, but I just wasn't having the success. And then all of a sudden, bam, it literally, I would explain it as a light bulb going off. Like, it just flipped the light switch and suddenly everything was coming together. And that is so often how success can be. Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. How many times do we hear in this business particularly people say, I work so hard and nothing happens? Where's my $50,000 a month? Where's my $100,000 a month? They don't see it yet, but they're not willing to stick it out to see that. And I would say that I definitely put in a lot of years for $10 an hour in this business, where now I'm making over $5,000 an hour. That is what he's talking about here. So don't get discouraged with that. He talks again about, the seeds of habits. I have something underlined on every single page. It's so good. Focusing on goals instead of systems. This kind of reminded me of people who say, like, I'm going to be a diamond. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be a diamond. Well, what are you going to do? Are you going to be consistent in your IPA? Are you going to get on every book club? Are you going to read and apply our books? Those are the things that you need to do. Don't tell me you're going to be a diamond. Show me through your consistent and reliable actions. That's what he calls it. So I'm on page 27 here, focusing on the wrong systems. You did not rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems. what systems do you have? And he explains this in chapter 2, that we try to change the wrong thing and we try to change our habits in the wrong way. So what we need to change is not our goal. We need to approach it by who we wish to become. He gives the example of, you may want more money, but if your identity is someone who consumes rather than create, you're not going to have that. What is your identity? Are you lacking belief in yourself? Do you identify as a diamond? One of the practices that we would have was waking up in the morning saying, I am successful. Everyone wants to join my team. Everyone wants plexus. Saying these kind of things to ourselves every morning set the tone for the day. And then if you really believe what you're saying, you're going to act like it. What would a diamond do? Would she show up for book club? Would she skip out on team call? Would she say yes to doing the scary things? The answer is yes. So thinking of yourself that way, prioritizing comfort over accomplishment. You haven't changed who you are when you set a new goal and a new plan, but you haven't changed who you are. I thought that was really, really deep if you think about it. He talks about having pride in a particular aspect of your identity. So taking pride in your biceps, you're going to work them out every time you go to the gym, or taking pride in your business, or pride in your success. Pride is not a bad thing. It makes you hold yourself to a certain level. It's not the haughty kind of pride. It's pride in a good job. So many times people will think, well, I don't want to be prideful. No, we don't. But we want to take pride in a job well done and hold ourselves to that standard. Shift the belief behind the behavior. Like he talks about, the goal is not to read a book, it's to become a reader. The goal is not to run a marathon, but to become a runner. I thought that was really interesting too, just to think of yourself from that perspective. And then mindset again, I'm terrible with directions. I'm not a morning person. I'm always late. The things we say to ourselves, that's who we become. In our business, if we tell ourselves, I'm not a good leader, I'm not good with troubleshooting, I'm not a good recruiter, change it. I am great with troubleshooting. I get everyone results on these products. It's going to feel weird to say such a thing. I remember saying like, gosh, I feel like I'm lying to myself, but I'm not having success in my business, so let me try this. Let me try lying to myself. No, not really, but just having a positive mindset, instead of looking down on yourself, but saying, I'm good at this. Instead of beating yourself up because someone quit, don't focus on that. Focus on the other people who are still here, the people who are still doing this with you. So important. Sorry, guys. I need to take a drink here. Having this baby has like made my throat dry. It's really weird. But anyways, your habits are how you embody your identity. When you make your bed each day, you embody the identity of an organized person. When you do your IPA every day, you are becoming you're a consistent person. When you show up and you talk on book club, you are a leader. You are becoming these things. When you practice these behaviors, the more you repeat the behavior, the more you reinforce the identity associated with that behavior. So the more you think toxic thoughts about yourself, that is what you're going to become. That's what you're going to attract to. So you need to become who you want to attract and who you want to be by your habits. Okay. Let's see. I got a few more minutes here. You need to decide the person that you want to be, and you need to prove it to yourself with small wins. We're going to talk about that a little bit, but each time you write a page, you're a writer. Each time you start a workout, you're an athlete. Each time you show up and make a video for the team page, you're a leader. You're training your team. All of these things that you do, even if you're scared, the more you do them, the more you become that person that you want to be. I love where he said again, it's about being consistent and reliable. That's what it takes to become a diamond. Trusting the process is something else that I wrote down. How do you get to diamond points and beyonds? How do you hit your goals? By trusting the process, not looking like, okay, I didn't get a join today. No, I did the action. The joins will come because I did the action. I trusted the process. I showed up for book club. I read the chapters. I don't have this down yet, but I'm going to. This is the person that I am becoming. I am learning these things. These are who I'm becoming. And before I was a diamond, I remember other diamonds saying that this is a earn as you learn business, which is so awesome because you don't have to be perfect at all of this. You're learning and growing along with your team. We're all learning and growing together. And we basically get paid to do personal growth. Like that's what this business is. You might feel like it's getting joints and all of that, but it really is the person you're becoming. And my sponsor told me, you're not going to recognize yourself when you're an emerald. And I was like, that's ridiculous. Of course I'm going to. But what she was saying was what I didn't realize was the person that I was going to grow into in order to have that kind of success that I was wanting. I was going to have to grow. I was going to have to evolve. And like this book said, it was about the person that I was becoming. So we are going to give you guys some time to talk. And I wrote down some questions here with some help of our leaders. The first question that I want to ask you guys is, you don't rise to the level of the goals, you fall to the level of your systems. So what is one system that you could start implementing in your business that you feel like, oh, I'm weak in this area, or this is something that I want to start doing? What is something that can change the direction of your business with one system? Have any thoughts on that?
Hey guys, try to talk quietly here because there's sleeping babies all over, I swear. I'm at Fallon's house. But I feel like, something that you can do to change whatever you just asked. I forgot what it was already. But is the self-talk, like with your business. All right, you can't, instead of saying, I'm not good at, closing, I'm not good at checking my back office, instead telling yourself that you are that, and using that positive self identity and becoming that person, and just telling yourself those positive thoughts instead of sticking with your identity that you've never been good at XYZ, and unlearning that.
I think too, kind of piggybacking off of Courtney, it's accepting the process, right? Like enjoying the process of becoming, enjoying the becoming. And he talks about it a lot. And one of the lines that changed my life back in December was, your work is not wasted, it is stored. And that's just something that like has really impacted me in my business, to know that even when it feels like I'm not, like, what is happening, like it's not wasted. The work is not wasted. It's just being stored, and accepting that slow pace of transformation. Like he talks about, it's like that middle part where people end up getting frustrated, and then they don't see their results, right? Like he says, like you go to the gym 3 days. Are you ripped in 3 days? Like, no. It's like that transformation phase, and us accepting that and just pushing through, and how success is not linear. There's just so much that we can implement, but I think for me, it's that acceptance in my business, like accepting that middle part and not waiting to be successful to be happy. Like he talks about too, like you can't wait till you're a diamond to enjoy the business, like you can't wait. Anyway, I could keep going on and on and on. But I'll let someone else share.
No, I like that, have the potential. I think he calls it latent potential or something like that. I think I'm gonna buy a fake ice cube and like set it on my desk. It's like a visual that we are moving up a degree at a time, even though we may not feel it. But systems, speaking to what Fallon said with, I think it's really important, two things, like look at the weaknesses you have, like we all have the pillar that's the weakest for us. What system, do you have a system for that pillar, number one? And then something I've had to come to terms with is systems I have that may not be working, because I'll do systems, but you guys are fall to your systems. So if it's a great system, but it's not duplicating, it's not working, then it's not a great system. So I think evaluating if you've established systems, especially in your weak area, and then evaluating the effectiveness. Now, Leah always says that. She's like, how's that working? That sounds great. How's that working? And sometimes I'm like, oh, it does sound great, and it's not working very well. So that was something about the system that I thought.
I was on page 23. I listened to this and I also was reading the book and trying to underline it. One of the things that hit me on that page was where he said, I began to realize that my results had very little to do with the goals I set and nearly everything to do with the systems I followed. And it was just talking about the difference between goals and then your systems that you follow. And it made me, I mean, this book, I want it to help with my entire life. But for my business part, this really hit me because it's my systems that I really, really need to work on. Just like he said, every Olympian wants to win a gold medal. Every candidate wants to get the job. Well, the goal cannot be what differentiates the winners and the losers. So it has to be that system that you implement. And that's one of the things that I talked about with Sabrina today. So yeah, so far I'm loving this book. Can't wait to get further into it. But that was one thing that stood out with me.
I love that, you guys. So can you name a time that you fell to the level of your system? Can anybody name a time?
I'll go for that. So, like, just like they were talking about, I like when he says it's not about wanting it hard enough, you know, so people can want it and still work hard and it still doesn't work. And so I know, like with my coaching calls with Nat, that's what she asked, is like, so what's working, what's not working? And so for me, we just had one and I was like, dude, business builders systems are not working. Like, I'm doing the most. I'm doing all this work. I'm working so hard. I'm casting vision like a crazy person, but like something's not happening for me. And like, what can I do? So us breaking down those systems and tweaking them has been a lifesaver. So that would be where I feel like I'm falling to the level of my systems. It's not for lack of wanting or trying, or, you know, I'm doing my IK, I'm doing all of that, but I still have places I have to tweak. And I know that because it's not producing any fruit. So, you know, talking to her and being like, all right, now we have to change this system, then like something is not going on. And so we've been able to talk about it and hopefully rebuild different systems for the people that I have on my team. Has been a good thing, because sometimes it'll feel like, man, maybe I'm not wanting this hard enough. Like, am I not doing enough? But feeling like I'm putting 10 hours into this, like what, how many hours do I need to put? And her being like, it's not, you're doing the most, it's the system. So that's helped me a ton. And sometimes realizing like I'm not failing, but the system isn't right can take a lot of pressure off of it being personal. Like, it's not a personal thing on me, it's just the system. Like we talk about, it's a numbers thing, and I just have to learn and grow at how to be better at systems. So I would say business building has been a system that I'm still tweaking.
Hey guys, I underlined so much here, but just piggybacking off what Stephanie said, progress requires unlearning. Is that not just like, I just want to underline that over and over and over again, because at 34 years in life, you learn your own bad habits, good habits, but progress requires unlearning. And that takes humility, that takes really looking at yourself in the mirror, that takes everything that everyone's praised you for being really good at, and putting those things aside and saying, okay, that's great, but what do I have to unlearn to progress? And the other line, very short and sweet, that I underlined just to go back, says, you get what you repeat. Again, like almost like the shortest little sentences in these 2 chapters spoke so loudly to me, because how true and eye-opening is that? Yes, you get what you repeat. If you are trying to implement the same exact system like we're talking about, and what are you really expecting, right? It's almost like a form of insanity. Like you're expecting to get a different result, plugging in the same numbers. So those would be my 2 to highlight. Progress requires unlearning, and you get what you repeat.
I love that you pointed out that it's just like one-liner sentences that you can learn from. So often when we read these books, we're like trying to put the whole idea together and grasp from that. But really, there's so many one-liners, like that can change your life right there. Just reading that one sentence so many times over through this book, like this can change your life. So let's talk a little bit about the kind of person who you're becoming. So the first step to upgrading your habits is changing your identity. So what are a couple of examples of the kind of person you want to become? I'm the kind of person who is consistent in my IPA. I'm the kind of person who speaks on book club. I'm the kind of person who makes videos for my team. What would you guys say?
I love how he says on page 22, speaking of the sentence that speaks to you most, and he says the task of breaking a bad habit is like uprooting a powerful oak within. And the task of building a good habit is like cultivating a delicate flower one day at a time. And what I would like to do is just learn each day how to be a great leader, and breaking those bad habits and really cultivating and becoming a good leader is just as difficult. So finding that path that you really want to take, and being real with yourself that some things that you are doing might not be the best way to do things, or the negative self-talk that you're saying to yourself is a habit and that needs to be broken. But also rebuilding that structure and reteaching yourself on a good habit, on good self-talk, can be just as hard to do, but it is something that you have to take initiative with. So that's something that spoke to me. And I think just becoming a really good leader, being strong within myself, having the confidence to lead my team, and breaking those bad habits and really focusing on those new good habits that I want to create for myself and my team.
I mean, I think you summed it up with the smoker example. Like, I'm trying to quit smoking. I'm not a smoker. It's like, it's literally that person's identity, and that's going to affect their outcome. So that means they're having a thought that they're believing, which is feeding their identity, which is feeding their actions. And so, you know, I'm a diamond. I'm consistent for my team. I help people reach their goals. I achieve dreams. I show up for my team. I train my team. Like, I say these things and call them affirmations, call them whatever you want, but it's changing your thoughts, which changes your beliefs, which changes your identity, which is where the action shows up, which is the trickle down effect. That's when the ice cubes melted, good or bad, by the way. Action's happening. I think that's something too we forget. You are making neural pathways, if you're meaning to or not. So if you're not being intentional and going out of your way to make new ones, you're usually echoing the bad in the past. that's what our brains should tend to do because it's the easiest. So yeah, those are my identity statements.
Well, just a quote from him, Tova, to piggyback that, page 37, the process of building habits is actually the process of becoming yourself. That's like in a nutshell.
So speaking real quick on what Fallon said, I want to be, one of the things that I struggle with in my business is IPA, and enjoy. I don't know. I want to enjoy it more. I'm a person that will speak to anybody. But I want to be that person that enjoys talking to people about this, and it's so easy for me to talk to people, but that's the person that I want to be. I want to be that person that, will get on and make videos and say the things, just share these products because I love them so much. But I definitely want to be the person that really gets into the IPA. I think that is where it's just knowing you have to cast your net wide, and you have to get into it in order for you to be successful. If I dread doing it every day, it's something that I end up not doing. So that's one of the things that that's my number one thing is to work on that and be that person.
Okay, so kind of going along with that, what are some small wins that you can implement to prove to yourself this new identity, this person that you're becoming? What are some small wins?
Is this for anybody, or were you asking?
Yeah, anybody. Not putting you on the spot, but you can answer if you want.
Well, one of the things that I'm doing is filling out the Frank's list, which, in the beginning I thought, okay, well, I can just go through my list on my Facebook. No, that Frank's list is really, it's very tangible. And then Tova had sent something over to me. So filling out lists for me, I'm a list writer anyway. I don't know why I didn't think that was a huge thing. So that's one of the things that I'm going to do.
I think for me, it was doing something I was afraid to do, or doing something so out of my comfort zone. I think Natalie actually on our last team call mentioned, that list of people you're like afraid to contact, like the fear list, and tapping into that list of people that I didn't even write them down because I just figured I'm just not even going to talk to those people, but writing that list down and then engaging for the first time with those people. It teaches you a lot about yourself, what you are capable of doing, and then making it a new habit, which, is difficult for anybody. But yeah, I think just breaking into something you're really not comfortable doing, but will help in the progress.
Okay, so one of the things that I've been, identity things goes back to me saying, like, prior, I'd be like, man, I'm just so bad at self-discipline, no matter what area of my life. I've always said that I was not a very good self-disciplined person. And so that's something that even before I was reading this book, like really getting into, no, I can be disciplined. I can hold myself accountable. And, through the process of personal growth, and you learn to like trust yourself, like, hey, I'm going to do this. And then you keep your word to yourself and gaining that. But even with reading in the first chapters, like I was really trying to think about what can I do now in this new season? Because my schedule's been different than it was before. I'm out of my norm. And so it's kind of like this crazy chaotic. And I'm like, well, this is a really good opportunity though for me to like stretch and grow and be able to set boundaries even for myself. Because I think, you know, everything you go through is meant to be like, it's a learning, and then you can share it and help others in their season. And so that's something I've been trying to think about. And now this new crazy, like my new norm, I guess I'll say, but like, how can I hold myself accountable? Even when he talked about like, or like making your bed in the morning, I never make my bed, like never. And so I'm determined. I was like, when my bed comes in, finally, I'm going to buy like pretty pillows and stuff that's going to excite me to get up and make my bed. Because before I'm like, I don't really care about the bed. Like, that's dumb, you know? But now I'm like, I'm going to make my bed because that's the person I'm going to be. I'm going to get up, I'm going to do it. And so, yeah, for me, that's kind of been an identity thing. And then just trying to implement boundaries for myself, and then holding myself accountable to like gain trust and tell myself, like, I am a disciplined person. Like, I am going to show up for myself. Like, I don't have to waver. I don't have to be scared. I'm not going to let myself down.
Hey guys, I'm driving, so I got stuck at a restaurant, but I am obsessed with this book already. It's everything, right? And so I always say, like, I always preach, it's about becoming the person that you need to be in order to get where you want to go. And so I'm just like, yes, this book is like confirming all of that. And so, like, identity wise, I made a whole list after I did this. I would encourage you guys to make a whole list of the person I want to become is or does. And then I made this massive list with everything. And even tonight, like going out to dinner, like it helped me. I felt like I was already stepping into the person that I wanted to become, right? And so it was something that was on my list is I want to be a leader who shows up visibly on my A game, which is funny because it's not happening in this exact moment. but I am proud of myself that even though things didn't go the right way and my plans didn't go accordingly, that I still had the discipline to be like, hey, like, I really got to go because this commitment is really important to me. So I'm going to leave. And I was the first one to leave. And that's just not something I normally would have done, but it feels good to live into my values, knowing that my priorities are straight and that I am the kind of person who can use self-control, who shows up visibly. And I feel like I'm already empowered just by getting clear on that. So, all right, I'm going through the gate, so I'm gonna mute.
I would say for mine, some wins are Natalie sent me a book about John Maxwell's Developing Leaders. So I've started reading that on my Kindle, watching, just learning systems that successful people are already doing and how can I duplicate that even further, while still being me, you know, because your team has connections with you and following you and things like that. So, but how can I do what successful people are doing? And so for me, wins would be completing those books, watching, you know, the videos, the training videos that we have, and just going back to the basics until they are like habits every single day that I'm doing. And I can look at it and say, I'm doing those things. Now I can trust the system. So I would say for me, the wins would be just honing in on duplication of already we have such successful leaders and I can just follow in their footsteps for sure.
Yeah, at night I'm asking myself, like, what's the 1% thing, just as like an accountability check? Like, what's the 1% improvement I made in the 4 pillars? You know, did I do anything in the 4 pillars to improve today? And then also, like, did I make a 1% improvement on like self-care and working out? Did I make a 1% improvement on family time? Like 1% improvement on devotions? Like tiny, tiny changes. I think sometimes we don't make changes because we have such lofty goals, there's like massive action that needs to be taken. And I think he dissects that. It doesn't have to be massive action. A penny a day is going to add up.
Yep, I agree. So many times we look at like, okay, I want to be a better leader, and then we feel like, oh, there's so many things, or I want to be a better recruiter, better show up better for my team, and there's this long list. But if you can, again, slight edge, this book pretty similar in that aspect, but just pick that one thing, making your bed. That is a really big thing, to be able to make your bed, and it helps you be more productive. Just picking those one or two things instead of being like, oh, I'm gonna have this huge lofty goal. Okay, what are the little steps that I need to take, and then trusting the process. And that is how you're going to become a diamond, hit your goals, whatever. So, all right, you guys, we're gonna end it there because I've got to feed this 1 week old baby before it doesn't feel very comfortable. So I will see you guys next week, and 2 more chapters again. We're going to do 2 chapters a week, every week. So thank you guys for all of your awesome feedback. See you later.